Good day to you. This is Before Your Eyes Information Forum, and we are looking today at the S&P 500 financial ratios, and they are fairly extensive. This is a model incorporating AI in the generation of the data. As you'll see, the data is truly extensive and varied. So we're talking about 500 companies indexed by sector, and what we're going to be looking at are the diverse nature of the ratios, balance sheet, income statement, cash flow, and operations, and see how they vary and might have a one-to-one relationship between different companies and within the company what they look like themselves. As you know, ratios have a different denominator for every single ratio. This alters the entire complexion of the data that we're going to be viewing, and let's just dive straight into it, get an idea. On the top right-hand corner is the entire S&P structure by sector. The inner chamber is the sectors, the outer chamber are the companies, and as you can see, if you look at it deeply, it is fairly extensive. Alternatively, on the left-hand side, we have the view of every single company just by nature, and in the top right corner, once again, we have every element of those ratios being portrayed, and I'll just run through them. As you can see, it's a fairly quick exercise, and on the bottom right, we have the numerical calibration of what those data represent. What we're going to be doing now is looking at the same data from a different viewpoint to give us greater clarity. So I've chosen the grid system on the left and the row system on the right. As you can see here, and this is particularly large differentiation between what you saw before and what we see now. We're looking at one section, information technology, and we're looking at the companies now within that. You can see there's Verizon, SMC, MU. I can just mark them off. You can find every single company that you need to isolate. Google. And now, when we look at this, and I'm going to bring this up in totality, we are able to see complexion of that set of companies from the ratio point of view. And one wants to automatically assume that there's consistency within the ratios. There's clearly inconsistency, even though that this data is artificial. The fact is that no two companies are the same in that regard. We could once again go back to the total side of the S&P and choose from that a different sector. You might choose energy. And here's the energy components. I saw Oxy there, Sun Energy, TSO, and we can see outliers. Those would be obviously what we're looking for, but in the ratio, a high figure might be a positive aspect in terms of its interpretation. And in other companies, the lower the ratio, the better. In other words, debt to equity might be seen from a different perspective. But here we can see the different ratios, and I'll show them to you singularly. And then we stack them, and we're able to view each and every ratio according to the classification and its class code. So that gives you a general view of that. We go back to the rows model, which is the top right, and we can see the same that you saw on the grid, except we're looking at it cylindrically. Colors I should have mentioned are by name, so they're identified by company. Obviously, they'll be the same color. This is more than 27 companies in terms of color rations, and I think they've only got like 20, 25 variations. So here we can see, if we read it from the operating margin, profit margin, gross margin ratios, effective tax rates, whatever the case is, but you can see your totality of the ratios One can get a greater appreciation for the complexity of what this is all about. We'll obviously strive to improve the visibility of every particular item, but each ratio is numerically calibrated in the bottom right. As you can see, I'm here with the physical ratios. You can see what the item represents, and we can get a better idea from that. In totality, I think that's a good initial approach. I thank you for your time. I look forward to further information in this regard as I develop it. Thank you again, Martin Kagan.